Okay, let's look at part B. So we want to compare and contrast the diffusion of folk and popular culture. Okay, so at first I've decided to discuss folk culture and how it diffuses. All right, so the diffusion of folk culture tends to be slow because folk culture tends to be isolated geographically and is more rural. Folk culture also has a high amount of homogeneity and groups tend to be small. Because of these factors, folk culture has historically had much less opportunity to interact with other cultures, limiting the opportunities for diffusion. Okay, so we've kind of laid out some characteristics of folk culture that determine and dictate how it diffuses. Okay? And the example here are the Hutterites of Indiana, are an example of folk culture that is intentionally sought these characteristics in order to limit diffusion. Okay? So we've given some description of folk culture diffusion and talked about an example. Okay, now on to pop culture. The diffusion of popular culture is rapid and dynamic. Popular culture tends to be more urban and heterogeneous. Popular culture tends to interact with large amounts of people from many backgrounds. Because of these diverse interactions and popular culture nodes, change is constant in these regions. Okay. Once again, we've defined the characteristics of popular culture that influence how it diffuses. And here are examples. Okay, fashion is an example of the pace of popular culture diffusion. What is in style changes often, especially among youth. Okay, and also I have this example of social media. Social media has helped accelerate the pace of popular culture diffusion. Fads like the Harlem Shake come and go almost daily as pop culture diffuses. So we've defined some of those characteristics and we've given some examples. If we were to go back and look at our plan, we said that we wanted between 3 and 4 specific examples for Part B. We have the Hutterites as one example, we have fashion as an example, and we have social media and the Harlem Shake as another example. Hopefully, the Harlem Shake will go away, but we can't guarantee that. If we look at this in more detail, there is our discussion of folk culture, and there's our example of folk culture. There's our discussion of popular culture, and there are our 2 examples of popular culture. Okay, here is what Part B looks like in paragraph form. Once again, our question is compare and contrast diffusion of folk and popular culture. And here is our paragraph, the same information we just saw on the slide, put in paragraph form. Once again, you will do this on your lined paper and not on a PowerPoint and transfer it. You're not going to do that, obviously. So here is what this looks like. Here you have big chunk A, and here's big chunk B. Once again, we are using outline form for those.